Here's what's coming up today on Real Life.
Yeah, so the last time I went to the hospital, was almost 4 months pregnant at that point. They couldn't find any veins in either of my arms because they'd already been all collapsed. They had to put it in my foot. And that's when I gave up hope.
Show me. Abortion clinics don't normally let you see the ultrasound.
Do you think you're gonna go through with this? And I don't know. I just want to know, like, there's a baby in there. Does it have a heartbeat? Is it okay? I was starting to feel like I wasn't gonna go through with it, which made me scared.
When going through the procedure, I must have been under-medicated because I was conscious. I heard the sounds, I heard the suction, I felt the pain, I felt dilating. It was painful. It was traumatic. It was an experience that I will never forget.
When it comes to pregnancy and abortion, the conversation can get pretty heated. What we do here on Real Life is bring you true stories, stories of women and men whose lives have been impacted by unplanned pregnancy and abortion. The stories we bring you may prompt you to pause and think again about what you believe about pregnancy and abortion. Up first today is Melissa. She will share with us her abortion experience and how she learned to surrender the secret.
So in preparation for today, I spent several hours in prayer, and God kept sharing this vision of me that I'm in a park. I see the swings, and I see the baby swings, and it's empty. And I think about my daughter who never got a chance to be pushed in that swing. I never got to sit in the swing next to her and swing with her. And that's what abortion does. It robs us of our children. I was 20 years old. I was married. Found out I was pregnant because I was experiencing really kind of over-the-top morning sickness. Turned into all-day sickness. It turned into a nausea that was so strong that I couldn't keep down liquids. I couldn't keep down solid food. Went into the hospital, had IV fluids, had anti-nausea drugs, went home, felt better for about a day, was able to eat a little bit, and then a day or two later, I was back in the land of dry heaves. And that went on for 4 months. Lost about 20 pounds. Skin was hanging loose. Clothes didn't fit anymore. They talk about PTSD, people who hear a gunshot and they hit the floor. For me, it's getting sick with a stomach flu. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, so the last time I went to the hospital was almost 4 months pregnant at that point. They couldn't find any veins in either of my arms because they'd already been all collapsed. They had to put it in my foot. And that's when I gave up hope. And so I had an abortion. And I chose to let go of the life inside of me in order to not be sick. And I made the decision to divorce the father of my child. It was a nightmare, and I just wanted to run from it. And I did. I went on with my life. But I didn't. Thought about it every day. Pop into my head at the most random of times. Went on to get married again, get pregnant, delivered a healthy son. And I remember them showing me my son and putting him in my arms, and I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel anything. I was 23 years old. I was in a messy relationship. My son was almost a year old, and I did the only thing I knew to do at that point, which was to continue to run from bad decisions. And I filed for divorce, and I moved home with my family and brought my son home and started over. I said, I have made every decision I could on my own, and I've done nothing but make a mess of my life. And so I started going to church, I started reading the Bible, and I committed my life to Christ, and it changed everything for me. And it was the beginning of healing. And yet I still couldn't go to sleep at night without thinking of my abortion and of the child. And I gave it to God. You know, they say, put your burdens down before the Lord, before the cross, and I would do it every day. And I would still think about it, and it would still be a memory, and it would still haunt me. God was good, though. And I think He bandaged over the wound that was in my heart enough that I could move on, and I could move on with life and learn new things and learn about God. And so 8 years later, after getting divorced, I met my husband, Jeremy, and we dated, and we fell in love, and we got married. We started going to GCC, and that was the beginning of something amazing, because God was pouring into my husband's life. He was pouring into my life. And I heard about Sandy Bruner. She was talking about the healing that these women were experiencing in this group called Surrendering the Secret. Started talking to her. I shared my story and kept saying how, I've dealt with this and I've given it to God. And she's like, well, that's great. Why don't you come and be a role model in my group? We started sharing our stories, and I realized, oh God, no, I'm not healed. I just have a Band-Aid on my heart. And so Surrendering the Secret, what it did was it went into this huge wound in my life and spoke the word of God into it, and he cleansed my wound, and then He knit me back together. I had no idea how broken I was until He began to heal me. And I will not say it was an easy journey. It was a hard journey. But the healing is worth it. Abortion is no longer this thing that I think about every day, every minute of the day. Now I think about my daughter. I have a daughter. God gave me this best gift ever. He gave me this vision of her, and she is a beautiful young woman, but she is glorious, and she's running in heaven, and she's laughing, and she's with Jesus. She's not this broken bit of tissue that came out of me. She's not the horror of being in that room. She's this beautiful child of God, and she's free, and she's with the Savior. And one day I'll get to see her. I'll see her face. I will hear the stories of her life with Jesus. And there will be no incrimination. There will be no judgment. Because the healing that I've received is a free gift. Being forgiven is the most amazing thing. When you can finally put the burden down, only Jesus can carry the weight. He is my Redeemer. He is my Redeemer.
We're so grateful to Melissa and the other women and men that share their personal stories with unplanned pregnancy and abortion in an effort to help others. Sometimes just hearing somebody else's story will give us the clarity that we need to move forward. If you have a real-life story about a pregnancy decision or abortion that you would like for us to consider, please go to our website and let us know. Up next, you get to meet Ashley. Ashley says it's what happened in the abortion doctor's office that caused her to change and question what she believed about pregnancy.
My name is Ashley, and I am originally from California. I decided to move to South Dakota to go to school. I worked just part-time waitressing because I was finishing up cosmetology school. Everyone hung out and partied together. I think, yeah, I drank a lot. I was in a dark place, and I kind of lost my joy. I met my husband. We both partied a lot. After like 6 months, then I found out I was pregnant with my son. How would I even take care of the baby financially? I did not make a ton of money, and then just being in the place emotionally that I was just kind of a mess, and so feeling like I wouldn't be a good mom. I called my boyfriend and said, I'm pregnant and I'm gonna have an abortion. I already made an appointment in Colorado, but the lady said I had to bring somebody with me. He was having second thoughts, but I didn't know that. He just went along with it. It's like a 5 to 6 hour drive from South Dakota to Colorado. And so we didn't talk much at all, actually, the whole drive. Obviously not how I always pictured my life. I went in and, they did the ultrasound, and I was nervous. I couldn't think of any other option. I just felt like hopeless. And she said, well, you're further along than you think, so you would have to get a different procedure. You have to go somewhere else. And so I said, is there a heartbeat?
She was hesitant, and she didn't want to show me. Abortion clinics don't normally let you see the ultrasound.
Do you think you're gonna go through with this? And I don't know. I just want to know, like, there's a baby in there. Does it have a heartbeat? Is it okay? I was starting to feel like I wasn't gonna go through with it, which made me scared. Is this gonna change everything? And so she just turned the screen around, and then there's a little baby and a heartbeat. He was so small. It had like its head and its arms and everything. And he had those little parts of this little tiny baby. I went out of the room and I just shook my head no to my boyfriend and handed him the picture, and he just hugged me, and it made me feel like I made the right choice. We had a lot to talk about then. On the way home, just started talking and staring at the picture. And we kept saying like, oh, our baby, and then like kind of laughing, and whereas before we just didn't talk about it. When I chose life for my son, I didn't leave feeling heaviness. I felt just joy is the biggest word that I can think of.
It was the heartbeat that made me choose life, and now I'm actually going to school to be an ultrasound technician so I can share the gift of a heartbeat with so many more people.
For many pregnant women, having an ultrasound and hearing the baby's heartbeat for the very first time changes everything. If you're concerned that you're pregnant, facing a pregnancy decision, we want you to know that there is a helpline available. When you call that helpline, you will get confidential, non-judgmental help to help you make an informed decision. Up next on Real Life, you'll meet a woman who says she found herself single and pregnant. When she went to her mom for advice and counsel, her mom said, "The only help I can give you is to tell you to have an abortion."
You know, first time I was pregnant, I wasn't married. And I had just recently moved out of my mom's house for the very first time, so I kind of felt like I had it all together, like I knew what I was doing. My first thought was, what am I going to tell my mom? She's the only one that I knew I could really come to and that was going to support me, and she didn't. She was not happy. She basically said, fend for yourself, you're on your own on this. And if you want my help, we can terminate the pregnancy and you can have an abortion. When I walked into the pregnancy center, it was relaxing and there was just a peacefulness about the center. It was nice to have somebody to talk to, kind of let them know where I was at. I know at the end we prayed. I was given a calendar with a variety of different classes to kind of get me started as a first-time parent. I didn't know what I would be doing, so it was nice to have that infant care and the other classes that were available. I walked out with some diapers and a little hat, so it made it feel more real. I had the idea of there's a baby coming and, you know, I was gonna be prepared whenever, you know, they made their arrival. I did end up choosing life regardless of my circumstances. When I had gotten into the godly parenting, you know, I had opened up the workbook and saw different various verses, and it challenged, you know, what I thought, what I believed, and I got curious and decided to, you know, open a Bible and start looking. And it just kind of got me focused on God and who He was and how He was working in my life.
When I think of Giovanni, I think of joy. I think of pure happiness. He's so important because I don't know where I would be without him.
When Giovanni was a baby, I was kind of forced to be present for him. But as he started to grow up and I got a little bit more freedom and I was able to live more than I did when he was a baby. So I found myself hanging out with old people in old places and, you know, depending on the wrong things to make me happy. And before I knew it, I was pregnant. And I was pregnant with somebody, again, that wasn't present. It wasn't a healthy relationship. It was abusive. So after, you know, thinking about all my emotions and what I would be dealing with after I was already a single mom, I had made the choice to make the appointment. I showed up. When going through the procedure, I must have been under medicated because I was conscious. I heard the sounds, I heard the suction, I felt the pain, I felt dilating. It was painful. It was traumatic. It was an experience that I will never forget, for sure. I attended church for some time, heard the message, didn't really apply the message, and before I knew it, I was pregnant again. So finding out I was pregnant again, as confused as I was, I knew I could turn to a woman's place. I get my pregnancy test and it's confirmed I'm pregnant, and I follow up with an ultrasound shortly after, and I'm suggested don't make any decisions based off your emotions, which was probably the best advice anybody could have given me. And I come back for an ultrasound and my body is, carrying a child and it's developing and I'm starting to see life form, inside of me. And, that's when I decided it was time to keep this baby.
The thing that really stood out about Melissa is that she was very real and very vulnerable and very scared, but looking for support and looking to know that she could do it, but needed someone to tell her that she could do it and that she wasn't alone. When she came in for her ultrasound, seeing the baby's heartbeat was huge. She really was bonded immediately and knew that she wanted to keep that baby, but it was through that, the sonogram, and then additional support where she would come in every single week to just have that encouragement, calling us a place of refuge, that she could come for support and prayer and encouragement, that in the midst of her circumstances, she wasn't alone.
So during my pregnancy and working with a life coach, my abortion had came up and it was suggested and encouraged to look into a post-abortion group. And it just so happened that my church was offering one. So it just so happened that I was in the right place at the right time and everything aligned perfectly, and I'm enrolled now to deal with that past trauma.
And just as important, I really believe, is the support following the ultrasound through classes and prayer and discipleship. And we see so many women that are returning and growing in a relationship with the Lord, that choose life and then are able to really pursue abundant life through Christ.
And, the 9 months flew by and Ashton was born. I got to lay eyes on him for the first time because, when you're pregnant, all you can think about is, what is my baby gonna look like? Giovanni loves his brother. He just loves to do anything with him, around him, anything that involves him. He loves his brother. Seeing the two of them together, it gives me instant gratification as a mom to know that I made the right choice. Just them together, they're just like the perfect pair. I'm gonna be forever grateful for a woman's place and having a safe place to come to. I know that God put a woman's place in my life for a reason. I know that no matter what time it is or whatever might be going on, that they're always going to give me that love, support, encouragement. It's a place that will never turn their back on me.
I may not be what you wanted, but I'll do my best to change your mind. I'll be around to make you happy. Won't you give me just a little time? I'm begging for life, I'm begging for love, I'm begging for a chance to see what I'm made of. Just give me a chance. I won't let you down. I'll make you forget you ever had a doubt. Just know that my heart beats too. So take your time and make it simple, 'cause I know you want the chance to see. 'Cause life's too short to keep on wondering what life would have been like with me. I'm begging for life, I'm begging for love, I'm begging for a chance to see what I'm made of. Just give me a chance, I won't let you down. I'll make you forget you ever had a doubt. Just know that my heart beats too. I know you can feel it inside of you. Just know that my heart beats too. It beats too. And I don't know when, and I don't know why, but I am so glad I get the chance to make you smile. And I may not know why.
As you've watched Real Life today, you've probably seen that unplanned pregnancy and abortion affects far more people than sometimes what we imagine. I wanted to share with you some feedback that we got from a man who was watching Real Life, and he says, "Dear Monica, after watching one of your Real Life programs, I was convicted about how I handled a pregnancy situation years ago." He goes on to say that his high school sweetheart became pregnant and he insisted she get an abortion, and that he didn't care. He pretty much at that time just wanted it all over with. Then he says, years later, I'm filled with regret. After watching Real Life, I confessed to God and talked with my men's group about it. A huge weight is off my shoulders, and we're glad to hear that for you. That's why we do this Real Life program, to show that there is hope and healing. That's all we have for today. We've got to go, but we'll see you next time on Real Life.
If you would like to share your abortion-related story, please contact us through our website, www.reallifetv.life, or through our Facebook page at Real Life CTN. If you need help in dealing with either an unplanned pregnancy or regret from a past abortion, please contact the H3 helpline at 866-721-7881. Thanks for watching. See you next week.